Hey, Soul Family. Welcome back to another episode of SoulCast. I'm showing up today a little different. Not polished. I'm not put together. Not already healed. I'm actually just showing up from the middle of my process, to be honest, in the thick of figuring myself out, in the middle of heartbreak and boundaries and burnout, and somewhere in between the version of me I've outgrown and the version I'm becoming. Everything in my life right now, work, love, my spiritual grounding, is like really pushing me to evolve. And instead of falling, collapsing, blaming or lashing out, I'm learning some of the hardest lessons I've ever faced. Some of those lessons are like speaking up, even when my voice shakes, respecting my boundaries, even when it hurts. And y'all, that shit hurts. Um, Giving myself grace, even when I feel messy, y'all, and feeling instead of reacting, thinking clearly instead of chasing out of fear, slowing down instead of abandoning myself. So, essentially, this episode is for anyone who's in the middle too, who's right there with me. So, I want to start off with work because whew, work has felt like a damn battlefield. I don't even remember signing up for it. I've been feeling singled out, misunderstood, and honestly, just unseen. It's crazy to show up every day in a space where you're actively trying, you're continuously giving effort, and you're showing up with your full heart, and still it feels like it's never enough. And to be honest, like what I've learned is this. Sometimes the universe uses uncomfortable environments to grow you, not break you, but to like really sharpen you. And work has been teaching me this, guys. One, use your voice, not aggressively, not defensively, just truthfully. I am, let's say, I'm learning that advocating for myself is not disrespect, it's actually self respect. Number two, I'm learning is not fitting in is sometimes the blessing. Like, I realized I don't really have to change my personality or shrink my authenticity to make anyone comfortable, especially if I don't fit in. It just means I wasn't meant to. Three, I can feel unsupported and still support myself. I don't have to collapse. I don't have to quit. I can gather myself, breathe, and figure it out. I am so quick to run. I am so quick to look for another job. I am so quick to be like, you know what? No. Number four, I am allowed to not internalize everything. I had to slow that down because just because someone doesn't see my value doesn't mean I don't have value. And I'm learning to not carry work home in my spirit, right? Not every frustration is mine to keep. Not every comment is mine to absorb. Work is really showing me where I still need stronger boundaries, where I still overextend, where I still take things personally that aren't necessarily personal. It's business, right? I'm learning to advocate for myself professionally and emotionally. Also, to not let my job define my worth, to not let people's projections like really become my identity. And that's a hard one for me because I equate like my job, my career, my productivity, what I do to my worth. And that's not true. Because of my worth, I work here And because I do this, like, doesn't make me better, it just adds to my ability, right? But my worth isn't defined by other people, other things, a position, a title. It shouldn't be. And sometimes I still have a hard time remembering that. And work has been uncomfortable, completely uncomfortable, because I'm in a new position, something that I don't know, something that I have to learn each and every single day. And it's difficult. But discomfort is where I grow the fastest. And I am growing. I am growing. This next part is the hardest. It's the hardest. Love. Mm. Or maybe the longing for love, the softness of love, the confusion of love, the triggers of love. I've been in a situation where I love someone deeply, but deep love doesn't automatically equal healthy dynamics. And what I'm realizing is this: I want love, but I don't want to lose myself for it over again. And I've been learning how to set boundaries without shutting down. I've been learning how to express my needs without feeling clingy or ashamed. I've been learning how to take space without punishing anyone. And let me tell you, these things are extremely hard for me. Like, you guys might hear some emotions in my voice right now because I feel this strongly. Um, Setting boundaries is so hard because I want to be available for everybody. I want to make sure everybody feels safe and is okay. Y'all know I'm a Cancer. And setting boundaries is is so hard for me because I feel like I have been doing really good at expressing my needs, expressing what makes me feel good, what makes me feel safe, what makes me feel better in a sense, and trying to do that without feeling shameful because I have needs, right? And this is what's going to make me feel comfortable or secure. And it sucks when I have to set boundaries sometimes, because I set them when I'm at a place of burnout and being drained instead of in the beginning. And because of that, it's teaching me to like learn space, like learning how to take space without punishing those people, without punishing people who, are meeting me to their best of their ability, who can show up the best way that they can. And I'm learning how to take space without making it about them, being like, hey, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. It's like, no, this is what I need, and this need is not being met. So I have to take the space to understand what it is that I can do to supplement this need for me, because where I'm currently at, it's not being met. And I can meet this need by myself, I know for a fact. But when I become, or anybody becomes in a relationship, there are things that you are supposed to provide for each other. And we live in this society where it's like it's solely about yourself, right? But really, like, there is a such thing as healthy attachment, right? In relationships, there is a thing as healthy dependence. And I think that because we all come from some sort of trauma, that we aren't privy to those healthy versions and what those versions look like. And that's okay. I think meeting people where they're at is important as long as you aren't losing yourself. And here's the thing: when I asked for a space recently, I felt so like torn in between the two. Hey, cause I really wanna. Hey, y'all know. Anyways, but I felt so torn, like so torn because like part of me wants them to still check in, and then part of me wants them to respect my space, and then part of me wants closeness, and then part of me needs distance. So it's like, where do I go? What do I do? How do I cater to this boundary? How do I respect myself but still show it up in love? It's crazy. It's hard. It's a lot. And some people can easily just be like, you know, hey. But for those who have a hard time with boundaries, it sucks. It sucks and it hurts, right? And then when you feel their emotional reactions, and then you feel your own emotional reactions, and you have to sit with the truth. I have to sit with the truth, right? We both are going to react from our wounds. We both are going to struggle with boundaries that we set, whether it's mine, whether it's theirs, like, and we're both going to get triggered. We're both going to get triggered by each other's silence. And right now, the difference is that I'm choosing to face my patterns instead of feeding them. And what love is teaching me is that my fear of abandonment cannot be the driver of my decisions. It cannot. Because when I fear, I start chasing. I start over explaining. I start fixing. I start pleading for reassurance. And I don't want a love like that. I don't want to have to chase. I don't want to have to fix. I don't want to have to overextend and beg for reassurance, beg for that security, beg for to be chosen, right? That's not love. I want someone who can stay grounded while I'm triggered. That's another thing love is teaching me, because I am someone with a past, a very, very difficult past, and I need someone who doesn't react with equal intensity. I don't want someone who spirals when I need space. And I don't mean spiral as in like, no, you can't have your space. No, like, what is this or what is like, I know I get in those spaces, right? So that's when I'm triggered. Um, I know that if there has been a breach in trust, I know that I am going to have questions and I'm going to ask them and I'm going to have to deal with them. And I'm going to constantly ask. And again, I want someone who's not going to meet me with that equal intensity, right? I want someone who's going to be soft and gentle and patient when I'm triggered. And I want someone who's not going to punish me for being overwhelmed. Who's not going to weaponize my my reactions or my lack of trust or my triggers. I don't want someone who's going to do that. And to be honest, like, love should feel like a partnership, not survival mode. Mhm. I don't want to survive. I want to live. I want to thrive. I want to grow. I want joy. I want to be happy. I don't want to just survive anymore. I've been surviving my entire life. um, a few more things. Space is not rejection. Sometimes space is acknowledgement, and sometimes it's I need to come back to this as my higher self, not my wounded self. And standing strong in that space, learning that space, coming to terms with space. And space is different for other people. It's either a day, a few hours, a couple days. It could be weeks. And honoring that space for someone is extremely important. Is extremely important because you want them at their highest self. You want them when they are better. And you want to know also that that space that they're taking is about pouring into themselves and not pouring elsewhere. And that's where trust comes in, right? Another thing is like my boundaries are my protection. My boundaries protect me. They secure me. They respect me. They love me. They are not attacks. They are not rejection. They are not punishment. They are just, they're how I keep myself in emotional alignment. And without boundaries, I can be misaligned. I could be my wounded self. And it's not the best if I don't have boundaries for my own personal well-being. Um yeah. Another thing is I can love someone and still choose myself first. Oh, that's an affirmation. Let me just say that again because that is something that I struggle with. I can love someone and still choose myself first. That's been the hardest part for me is loving without abandoning myself. Of course I miss them. Of course I think about them. Of course I care about how they feel. But I'm learning that my care for them cannot override the care I owe myself. And that's the lesson hurting the most and growing me the most. hmm Take a deep breath with me because, man, that one was, that one was real. One of the biggest breakthroughs I've had lately is realizing this. I've spent so much of my life reacting from emotion instead of responding from clarity. When I feel activated, my instinct is to move, to fix, to reassure, to reach out, to chase, to check, to seek comfort from the very person who may have triggered the wound. But I'm realizing that adulthood, real emotional adulthood, is learning how to pause. And I'm getting a lot better. I promise I'm so much better than where I was last year. um, Meaning to breathe, to sit in the feeling without making it someone else's responsibility. That has been challenging because I can be very emotionally reactive. I do make the other person responsible, and that's not fair. I need to be able to sit, pause, breathe. Those who know me know my past is very, very traumatic. Um, and it's not just mental or emotional or even spiritual, it's physical, it's in my body, it's instant fight or flight, freeze, fawn, appease. And here are the things that I'm trying to put into practice, and I'm trying to do it every day. When I feel anxious, I'm learning how to pause. When I feel abandoned, I'm learning how to ground in the present moment, which means putting my feet on the floor or hugging myself or putting my hand on my heart or putting my hand over my stomach, bringing sensation back into the present moment. When I feel triggered, I'm learning how to breathe before reacting, and that is my hardest one, because I instantly shorten my breath. And when I feel wronged, I want to reflect before speaking. Um, and I feel like I do that. I feel like some people really want me to just speak in that moment. But if I'm speaking in that moment, um, it's not going to be good because it's going to be coming from in a very triggered, very reactive space. And then you know, that's when things get escalated and heated. But in those moments of pausing, I get to reconnect with myself. And it feels good because I start to get a better understanding of like my needs, what do I want, how to communicate a lot more effectively. Um, and because the version of me that reacts is my younger self. Um, and the younger self has a lot of pain, has a lot of suffering. It's sad, emotional, all these things. It has a lot of needs. Um, and the version of me that responds is my healed self. And so every time I choose stillness over reactivity, I grow. And I want to grow. Whew, my spiritual growth right now is not cute, though. I'm gonna be real. It's not romantic. It's not aesthetic. It's completely gritty. It's uncomfortable. It's silent. It's really me facing me. So, in this process, grace has become something I have to practice daily. Not I have to, but I get to practice daily. Um, Grace when I don't have the energy to fix everything, grace when I'm emotional, grace when I'm confused, grace when my boundaries hurt, ugh, grace when I miss someone, grace when I'm trying my best but still feel very messy. I'm learning that healing isn't always action. Sometimes healing is permission, and I have to learn how to give myself permission. Permission to slow down, permission to feel, permission to not rush, permission to hold my boundaries, permission to not respond right away, and most most of all, permission to put myself first. The biggest theme of this chapter has been choosing myself even when it hurts. I'm gonna say that again. Choosing myself even when it hurts. And it can hurt so bad when it hurts so bad. Hey, y'all know, look, the songs. Anyways, choosing myself when it makes someone else uncomfortable. That's hard for me. Choosing myself when it triggers someone's wounds. That's also hard for me because I want to make sure everybody's comfortable. I want to make sure everybody's okay. I want to make sure everybody feels good, even at the expense of my own comfortability. And that sucks because it hurts, right? Choosing myself when I want to chase, choosing myself when I want reassurance, choosing myself when love feels fragile, choosing myself when work feels heavy, choosing myself when old patterns try to pull me back in. God, these things are so hard, guys. Like, they're so, they're not so hard. They hurt and it's uncomfortable and it makes my heart ache. And here's what I'm learning to do about it. Well, not to do about it, but just here's what I'm learning when I choose myself is that I'm not the same person I was 2 weeks ago. I'm not the same person I was a month ago, and I'm not the person I was a year ago. I am becoming more intentional, more grounded, more aware, more self-respecting. And even when it feels lonely, because it does, I can feel myself elevating. I really want to thank you for listening and holding space for me today. If you're in a chapter where life is stretching you out like it's stretching me out, emotionally, spiritually, or relationally, I want you to know that you're not alone, like at all. You're not. Choosing yourself isn't easy, but it's always worth it. This is SoulCast. And this chapter, this evolution is just a beginning. Until next time, y'all.